into Pagan Challenge, just getting caught up. A few weeks behind. I did do my top 10 books, but I think I left off at what are your influences? When I was young, I don't know if I had like any set influences other than maybe mythology and fairy stories. And I did enjoy mythology, especially Greek mythology, always liked that. And I got a lot of cues from nature, I think. I always loved being out in nature. I loved animals as a kid, and that had a huge, I think, influence on me. And then when I got older and I kind of was searching for something spiritually that was more fulfilling to me, I'd been raised in a very strict kind of Catholic household, and it wasn't working for me. I found goddess mythology and a lot of sort of general kind of goddess spirituality books, and that led me towards Wicca. And then when I found that, I was like, this is totally what I believe, and it just was like, this is already what I'm thinking. And I came to this it would be the early 90s, and I was around 20 years old or so, and I found this, and I found that it really worked for me. And I was influenced, early on by the works of like Diane Steen and Doreen Valiente, and reading, I came across Silver Ravenwolf and DJ Kami, and then it just kind of all like expanded and went out from there. Of course, into the 90s, it became more and more popular, so there became more books, more resources out there for it, which was really great. And it didn't hurt too that, movies like The Craft and stuff came out. And I mean, obviously fictional and completely off base, but me and my friends loved it anyway. We went and saw the movie and thought it was great and so much fun and all that kind of stuff. Even if we knew it was totally like, BS fictional, whatever, it was still cool and whatever. So I think those all had like a big influence on me spiritually. The other questions that were in there were about spiritual doubt and spiritual stagnation. So I guess for me, spiritual doubt was more something when I was younger because, again, I was raised in, this a Christian household. I went to a Catholic school, all these things. And I just kept coming across things that I was like, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. And questioning. And then getting to a point where I would question things and be told not to question them, and that questioning was bad. And it was like, you're a bad person because you're questioning, which only made me want to question more, because to me, if somebody's telling you not to question, that means they don't have the answers, or they really don't want you to look over there, and so you need to look over there. So that was something more when I was younger. When I was older, not so much. And just for spiritual stagnation, I mean, there's times like where I'm definitely more active in my practice, and times where I'm not so much, especially times that have been very difficult for me. Times where I was going through divorce, and especially the time leading up to the divorce and going through a very difficult relationship, things like that where you don't have a lot of energy, or when you're sick or whatever, you're obviously not putting as much energy into it. And I think spiritual stagnation happens too when you kind of get into the same routine over and over again, and you're doing things without really knowing why, or they've just become like, this is the way we do it. And sometimes you kind of need to shake that up or change things around, and that's okay. You don't have to stick with the same thing all the time. It's good too to read things from outside of your religion as well, just to kind of get some other insight and input and talk to other people. There's ways to kind of shake up the whole spiritual stagnation. One of the other questions was, how do you talk to non-pagans about paganism? Generally, I don't unless I'm asked, which doesn't come up a whole lot. I think these days people are fairly aware, at least in the area I live. I live in a big city, and people don't generally ask me what my religion is, and I don't think they care. But in talking to other people, I just sort of explain it. I actually ask them what they think first, because you don't know what basis they have when they ask or where they're coming from, and then I usually take it from there. So that's what I do. And when somebody has no basis at all, I say, well, it's kind of like the older religions before Christianity, but more modern. And I say, just like Christians believe that God is a Trinity, with the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, we believe that God is God, and God is male and female. And I just often leave it at that unless they have more questions. So I don't go into too much unless they want to, because to me, that's something each person has to kind of, figure out that stuff for themselves. The other question was why paganism? I think paganism is just something that always made sense to me. Like I said, I was, always interested in mythology and thought it was great. And to me, it just made more sense that deity would have many faces and look like lots of people, as opposed to just being this one being that was male, often depicted as white, in the sky, that knows everything. I think that God, deity, universe, goddess is too big of a concept for us to wrap our heads around. So having smaller gods and goddesses is quite helpful to people and is more understandable with the different forces of nature. And that's just my very brief synopsis of, how I would explain that or what I think of that. So I think I'm all caught up on the questions now. I know they're all like kind of brief little answers, but that's just generally what I think about that. Let me know what you think. Like, why does paganism work for you or not? Maybe you're watching this and you're not. Why would it not work for you? And that's okay too, because I think spirituality is such a personal thing, and I think what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another, and that's okay. So yeah, let me know what you think. What do you do when you feel like you're stagnating spiritually? Or have you had times of doubt and questioning? Let me know. I'm interested. What are your influences? Let me know. Put in the comments below, like and subscribe, and I'll see y'all next time.